and welcome to Korean Racing Broadcasting Channel. You're watching All About Korean Racing. I'm your host, Jo. For our first production, we'd like to talk about Grand Prix. It's the championship race here in Korea. And to further discuss more about this race, here next to me is Alistair Middleton. Hello, Alistair.
Hello, Jo.
Alistair, as you know, this race, Grand Prix, is the most prestigious race here in Korea. Is there any one that you particularly remember of?
Well, you're absolutely right. This is the traditional season-ending finale race here in Korea.
Right.
And as such, we usually get the best runners on the peninsula in any given year. So we've had some great races down the years. I think one that stands out for me as a racing fan, for a lot of racing fans here in Korea as well, was in 2011. That year we had three really good horses, a horse called Smutty Moonhak, a horse called Tough Win, who was the eventual winner, also a horse called Mr. Park, who was a very special horse in Korean history. But every year brings up its own stories. Even last year we had a really, really good race. Ultimately a horse called Bold Kings beat Gumpo Sky, who comes back here to have another go this year. That gave the first win in the race for an overseas trainer, Peter Wolseley. So every year there's a story. Hopefully this year will be the same.
Right. Last year I still remember it was really competitive race. And will it be another competitive race this year? Well, we'll have to see. Let us first look at the list of the runners for year 2016. Here we go, Grand Prix, 2,300 meters and 16 runners. And they have been selected by a vote of racing fans. But to be honest, looking at this list makes me think that there's going to be strong favorites.
Oh, certainly there are going to be a couple of ones who do stand out. Those would obviously be numbers 3 and 5 there, Powerblade and 999. But it does look a very competitive field. We've got some really good horses here. We've also got the likes of Clean Up Joy, Bolmaikum, even Haber, Dongbangdero, Winner Red. We've got a lot of potential in this field.
Okay, let's now look at the top contenders in detail. First, let's look at 999 and Powerblade. These two are stablemates. They're both from the same stable, and they're from the top stable by trainer Kim Young-gwon's.
Yeah, obviously stablemates in Busan under Kim Young-gwon. Powerblade is a 3-year-old Korean-bred colt. He's by Menifee, who is the champion sire in Korea. He's been the champion sire in Korea for quite a few years now. Powerblade was champion juvenile last year, and this year as a 3-year-old, he actually won all 3 legs of the Korean Triple Crown. The first horse to do that in the Triple Crown's current form. He won the Cup Mile, which is the Korean equivalent of the 2,000 guineas. He won the Korean Derby, and he won the Minister's Cup as well. So he comes in already having made history in Korea. 999 is a year older. He's by Ecton Park. That's another Korean-bred sire. And he comes in having won the President's Cup for the 2nd year running. The President's Cup is the richest race that's open only to domestic breds. And 999 won it. He won it very comfortably for the 2nd year running, and he's a very strong contender here.
That is correct. And like we just said, we've just witnessed them running together at last month's President's Cup. Here we go. It's the President's Cup on November 13th.
Yeah, so this was 999 and Powerblade. They ran first and second in that race last month. Now, that was actually the second time that 999 had bested his stablemate. He also got the better of Powerblade when they raced together in the Korea Cup. That was the international race we had in September. Now, Success Story led the way early on that day. Probably going to try and do the same today. When the two of them came together, though, you can see 999 on the near side just ran away from Powerblade on the far side. It was a really, really good performance. You know, the Grand Prix is up at 2,300 metres. The extra furlong and a half, I think that can only benefit 999 as well.
Right. And now we're looking at the morning track work of 999.
So that was 999. Trainer Kim Young-gwon said he's very happy with 999. They've been working on getting him back up for this 2,300 metres, so everything, his diet has all been worked towards that. Before the President's Cup, they worked on just getting that little burst of speed for 999. We saw that in the President's Cup, and I think they're confident he's going to go well again.
And there we go. It's for Powerblade.
Well, Powerblade again, Kim Young-gwon, very, very happy with how Powerblade is right now. He was a little bit disappointed with his performance in the President's Cup. He was, I think, a little bit disappointed with the tactics that were employed that day. I think he didn't need to go into the home straight alongside 999. He needed to be a little bit far in front. I think he's going to try and do that this time around.
Yes, we've just looked at these two runners from the top stable from Busan. But we can't always say that these runners from Busan are always the best because we have Cleanup Joy from Seoul joining them. Alistair, Cleanup Joy, I think he is the best horse. He is just really good. He's the best horse from Seoul. What do you think?
Nice qualifier there. The best horse from Seoul, possibly, yeah. He is a really good horse. He's a 5-year-old gelding. He's an American bred by Purge. He's won 10 of his 20 starts so far. He actually finished third in this race last year, and he is certainly one who is worthy of some respect.
Yeah, and he ran really tremendously last time at KRA Cup Classic.
Yeah, well, you'll see him just sort of leaping out of the gate here. He got off to a bad start, and he does tend to do that a little bit, clean up Joy. However, this race, it was restricted to horses from Seoul, and really he proved that he is superior to those horses. You can see him here on the outside. He just takes the lead entering the home straight, and it was really game over once he did. He ran on really, really nicely to win there. He actually beat a couple of horses who were going here as well. Unbeatable Chonjok were among the ones who were beaten that day. And really, you have to fancy Cleanup Joy to beat them again. Third last year.
There you go.
Could he go better?
And it was just tremendous. I still remember this race. And now we're looking at the morning track work for Cleanup Joy.
Yeah, he was looking healthy. He was looking good in training. The trainer, Son Mun-gil, was very, very happy with him. The one thing Son Mun-gil, the trainer, was concerned about was the start. We saw how poorly he started before. It didn't really matter in that race, given the sort of opposition he was up against. He's requested the outside gate. He has been granted it. And I think if he goes well, if he gets away well, he's got a chance.
Right, and I still remember that race last time when he went down to Busan at Mayor's Cup. Can you talk more about that race?
Well, Cleanup Joy's been quite lightly raced this year. He did get beaten in a handicap at Seoul, I think last month, the month before, when he was carrying 8 kilos more than the rest of the field.
60 kilograms.
He was carrying 60 kilograms that day. The winner was carrying 52. He went down to Busan in July for a race called the Busan Mayor's Cup. Now, we call that race the Summer Grand Prix.
Right.
And he kind of was carrying Seoul's hopes on his shoulders that day. He ran okay. He came fourth. He was, though, beaten by Success Story, by 999, and also by the winner that day, which is a horse who also goes here, called Bomai Kum.
Right. That is exactly right. I was quite sad about that race because he placed fourth, but he needs to know he's representing Seoul. Cleanup Joy to represent Seoul, and for just that fact, he is going to be our favorite. And now we've just went through the 3 best runners, but we cannot rule out the others. Bomai Kum, this runner is also an interesting runner. And Alistair, what's interesting about Bomai Kum?
Well, Bomai Kum, he's been around a few years now. I'd say he's one of the most naturally talented horses that we've had in Korea. He's an American bred. He's by Put It Back.
Right.
And he actually came third in this race 2 years ago. But he's a horse who really perhaps didn't live up to his early potential. I think maybe he was campaigned a little bit too hard early on in his career. He never quite has won the races he perhaps should have done. That changed this summer in the race we were just talking about, the Mayor's Cup, down in Busan in July.
Having mentioned the Mayor's Cup, let's have a look at the race. There we go. It is Mayor's Cup. It was this July the 3rd, over 1,800 meters.
So 1,800 meters of Busan. Bomai Kum, he broke in the lead, and that's the way he races. That's the way he needs to race. Success Story right up there as ever. Those two have drawn wide this time. It's going to be quite hard for them to be on pace. And this time, once he got into the home straight, you're going to see 999 coming, finishing really, really quickly just to grab second. But that day, Bomai Kum just didn't let go. He just kept on going. It was a really, really strong performance. It was kind of something that horse has deserved for all his talent. It is going to be tougher to do it at Seoul in December over 2,300 meters, though.
And now we're looking at the morning track work for Bomai Kum.
Yeah, again, he's looking in decent shape.
Right.
He's looking okay. He's training okay. It isn't going to be easy for him here, though. One thing he has got in his favour, the jockey booking, Francisco de Silva, overseas jockey who's been at Busan for about 3 to 4 months now, and he has done it exceptionally well at Busan. If anyone can judge the pace right on Bomai Kum, it'll be de Silva.
Yes, Francisco de Silva, that is another factor that is going to help Bomai Kum to win this race. We'll have to see. Well, we've just looked at all these best contenders, and now, Alistair, will this race going to be another competitive race?
Yeah, of course it's going to be a competitive race. It always is. I mean,
yes.
We've talked about the favourites, but a favourite hasn't won this race since 2009. I think when a horse called Donbani Gangja, he won back-to-back races.
Right.
That was the last time a favourite actually triumphed in this race.
Right.
So obviously we are going to be looking at Powerblade, 999. I think 999 is going to be the favourite. But Powerblade, you know, he's coming out of gate 2. He's going to go forward. 999 is going to have to come past him. We talked about Bomb Icon and Success Story. They've drawn wide. They're going to want to get out front. It's going to be very hard for them. There are others as well. Clean Up Joy. Okay, we know what he's capable of at this distance. All through the field, though, there are perhaps sort of lesser lights who will definitely get the distance. The likes of Haber, the likes of Goliath Marine. Even Brian Dean's Muhu Deje. We know that one's going to get the distance. Has it got the class to do it? Who knows? We have an up-and-comer called Winner Red as well. That makes this race a very, very interesting one. Having said that, all things being equal, if he does run to his true potential, it is hard to oppose 999.
Yes, there's a strong favorite, but you never know who's going to win because this is Grand Prix. Who's going to be the winner for Grand Prix 2016? We'll have to see. So stay tuned with us. It's going to be this Sunday, the 18th, race 9 at Seoul Racecourse.